السلام عليكم. ممكن نبدأ. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مرحبا بكم في الندوة الأولى، والعنوان بتاع المنح الدراسية في الجامعات والكليات في أمريكا إن شاء الله. محاسن إن شاء الله، أختنا محاسن هتبدأ بالintroduction المقدمة، ومعانا المتحدثين إن شاء الله المتحدثات. Welcome to our Zoom meeting. We will be talking about the scholarship in the US regarding colleges and universities. So, Sister Mahasin, when you are done, when you are ready, you can start. Thank you so much for joining us, Mahasin.
طيب، السلام عليكم دكتور نادر. نبدأ طوالي ولا ندي دقيقتين ثلاثة للناس تحتاج شوية تدخل يعني، إنه ما شايفة في participant yet.
أنا في رأيي لأنها هي recorded، فممكن نبدأ. الناس اللي بتخش معانا ممكن متى ما تدخل يحصلونا، ولو في أسئلة في نهاية الندوة إن شاء الله ممكن الناس يعني تجاوب على الأسئلة إن شاء الله. ولا رأيكم شنو؟
I think we can give it like maybe 5 more minutes كده and then get started because either way it'll be recorded, so it should be fine inshallah.
Yeah, great. We can wait 5 minutes. Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
بس جرس واحد كده للتذكير.
سمعتي السحر قالت لك ممكن تتصلي محاسن بالجروبات
أنا بحاول أتصل بالجروبات اللي معاي، بس جرس واحد للتذكير.
Okay, I can do the same.
السلام عليكم. مرحبا بكم مرة ثانية. فنبدأ إن شاء الله.
غير المكان. طيب، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أنا محاسن صالح. والليلة يسعدنا جدا ويشرفنا إنه نفتتح السلسلة بتاعت الويبينارات اللي حتقدمها الجالية السودانية في مدينة لانسينج الكبرى. أول حاجة بنرحب بكم ترحيب شديد، وسعيدين جدا بوجودكم معنا في الويبينار ده. وجودكم واهتمامكم بيعني لنا كتير، وبيأكد لنا إنه التعليم وفرص المنح الدراسية بقى موضوع مهم وملهم للجيل الجديد، وأكيد طبعا باهتمام الآباء والأمهات. أم لقاءنا اليوم حنتكلم فيه عن أهمية التعليم، وكيف إنه التعليم ممكن يفتح أبواب كبيرة في حياة الإنسان ويغير المستقبل للأفضل، خصوصا لما تكون في فرص زي المنح الكاملة اللي بيغطي كل التكاليف الدراسية للطلاب والطالبات، وإنه يواصلوا تعليمهم بدون أي ضغوطات مادية أو تكاليف ومصاريف كبيرة. مؤمنين كل الإيمان إنه التعليم ما بس شهادة في نهاية الفترة التعليمية، بل التعليم قوة ووسيلة للتمكين وطريق عشان الواحد يحقق أحلامه ويبني مستقبله، آه، مستقبل أحسن له ولأهله وكمان للمجتمع بتاعه اللي هو عايش فيه. معانا في الويبينار ده متحدثين، والجميل في الويبينار ده اليوم إنه المتحدثين معانا ما جايين يتكلموا عن كلام نظري، لا، بل هم أصحاب تجارب شخصية حقيقية، مروا بمرحلة مرحلة البحث، المنح والتقديم والانتظار والتحديات وبعض الإحباط، ولكن في النهاية قرروا إنهم يصلوا ويحققوا أحلامهم ويتحصلوا على الفرص بالصبر طبعا أكيد والاجتهاد والإصرار. اليوم حنسمع منهم قصتهم وتجربتهم الشخصية، ومن خلالها عايزين يكونوا مصدر إلهام للشباب السودانيين وللأسر السودانية وحتى العربية، ونستفيد من نصائحهم وتجاربهم دي عشان الطريق يكون لنا واضح وأسهل للناس اللي بتبدأ المشوار أو حتبدأه في المستقبل القريب إن شاء الله. نرحب شديد بالمتحدثين الكرام، وبنشكرهم على الحضور، بنشجعكم كمان إنكم تتفاعلوا معهم وتسألوهم أي سؤال يخطر ببالكم عن المنح، وتستفيدوا قدر الإمكان من الجلسة دي في إنه نتحصل على أكبر عدد كبير من المعلومات الممكن تفيدنا لقدام. وشكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا محاسن. مرحبا بكم مرة ثانية، ونتمنى إنه الندوة تفيد الجميع. نبدأ إن شاء الله مع بنتنا عزة. متى ما تكوني عندك الفرصة تفضلي. شكرا لكم مرة ثانية.
Assalamu alaikum. My name's Azza Alrashid. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Pennsylvania, and I just wanted to start off today by providing an overview of scholarships, how to find them, what they are, and just give my best pieces of advice for navigating finding scholarships. So starting off with the different types of scholarships, there's two main distinctions I would say. So there's merit-based and need-based scholarships. So for merit-based, these are based on any level of achievement. So whether that's like academic achievement that you demonstrate through your grades and your GPA and your test scores like ACT or SAT, or artistic achievement if you are a high achieving art student for high school, or you're a high achieving athlete, any sort of achievement that can be recognized could warrant like a merit-based scholarship. And then the other category is need-based, which is solely determined based on your financial status and like your family's level of need. So you would complete this application, it's called FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. You add all of your like financial your parents' financial forms, and then the universities are able to determine your level of need and then give you scholarships based on this. So then there's like two more types, I would say. There's institutional and private scholarships. So an institutional scholarship is anything that's offered based from the school that you're attending, like the specific institution that you're at. So in my case, I went to Penn, University of Pennsylvania, and they offered mainly need-based scholarships. And I completed my FAFSA form, and I was fortunate to receive a significant need-based scholarship. But Penn, my institution, didn't really offer merit-based scholarships, but I know that a lot of other institutions do. So that's why it's really important to do your best in high school to be as involved as possible in leadership and to get the best grades and to get the best scores on those standardized tests as well. And then the final category is private scholarships. So I put an example here, QuestBridge, and I know one of the other speakers is going to speak a little bit more about QuestBridge later on, but private scholarships are any scholarship that are offered by a private institution or company. And I'm going to talk about a few more examples in the next few slides. So then, in terms of how to find scholarships, I know that when I was looking for scholarships at first, I had a hard time. I was like, I don't even really know where to look or who to ask. And the internet can sometimes be pretty overwhelming with a lot of resources. So I wanted to break it down into three different levels. So first, if you're looking at the local level and you're looking for scholarships in your area, I think the first resource is asking your high school counselor because a lot of the times they're very knowledgeable about the scholarships that exist in your city or in your area. The other thing is you could reach out to local businesses, organizations, a lot of churches, sometimes masajid might have scholarships, things like that, libraries as well. So make sure to ask. It never hurts to ask. And then also you can just do research online in addition to asking your counselor. And I know for anyone who's in Lansing, there's the JLL Lansing Scholarship, which give like $1,000 to $2,000 to graduating seniors in the Lansing area. So that's a really cool opportunity. Next, there's like school-specific scholarships, so like the institutional scholarships that I mentioned before. And to find this would be at the point where you know which university you're attending. You can reach out to your financial aid office. They usually have contact information on their website, so you can email them, you can call them, and just say, hey, I'm looking for scholarships. Do you know of any opportunities? And a lot of the times they'll be able to send you a list. And then a lot of the times online, they'll also have a scholarship directory where you can just sort through and find scholarships on your own. And then lastly, there's national scholarships. So I mentioned QuestBridge. There's a number of these, and I would say your best resource is to look online. But two websites that I really like are scholarships.com and bigfuture.collegeboard.org. And these are really nice because they have filters, so you can narrow your search based on like where you are. So if you're from Michigan, you can say, I'm from Michigan, and if you indicate like your academic interests, if you're like a STEM student or you want to study political science, whatever, you can indicate that, and there will be scholarships specifically for students who want to do STEM or who want to do political science. So that's pretty nice. And lastly, there's the examples of the national scholarships. So QuestBridge I mentioned, there's Gates Scholars, Coca-Cola Scholars, Taco Bell Live Más, AHA, the American Heart Association. There's so many scholarships out there, so it's so important to do your due diligence and do research and use these resources like the websites that I mentioned here and try to find scholarships that'll fit your needs and what you're looking for. And then lastly, I just wanted to give my general pieces of advice. And it's basically apply. I mentioned the filters that exist, so I would say definitely use the filters to your advantage and narrow your search based on what you're planning to study and who you are and where you live, but also apply broadly. Like don't just apply to one or two scholarships, apply to as many as you find, honestly, because you never know which ones you will get. So I would say apply to as many as you can. And I would also say throughout high school, I think it's really important. Like the scholarship search starts early on in the high school process. So even when you're a freshman, make sure that you're getting involved in leadership opportunities and make sure that you're keeping your grades up to be able to maximize the opportunities for when it comes time to apply to these scholarships. And another thing that was helpful for me is that a lot of these scholarships require essays. So make sure that you practice your writing skills and that you're able to just tell your story authentically. And I think that'll resonate with a lot of the people who are offering these scholarships. And then in terms of timeline, I think it's important to start early if possible. So even end of junior year is not too early to start looking for scholarships. And then in the summer leading up to your senior year, search for scholarships, like start an Excel sheet and try to stay organized with the due dates. And the more that you work on those essays, the more you will feel prepared to apply to new opportunities. So I would say definitely get started earlier. And yeah, if anyone has any questions at the end of the presentation, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to share more about my experience.
Azza for all the information. شكرا على كل المعلومات اللي قدمتيها عن كيف نقدم للمنح وكيف نزيد فرصنا من الحصول على أكبر عدد من المنح وكده. نخلي الفرصة بتاعت الأسئلة في الأخير، فإن شاء الله إذا في حد عنده سؤال نفتح الفرصة للأسئلة في نهاية الويبينار إن شاء الله. الفرصة الجاية لمايا حتتكلم عن تجربتها في الحصول على السكولرشيب أو المنح. Welcome Aya, Maya, introduce yourself and go ahead and start your part of the webinar, inshallah.
Sure, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we do. I do.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay, perfect. Bismillah. Okay. And can we see the presentation projected fine?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Bismillah. From dreams to degrees, claiming your seat at the nation's top universities for free. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Maya Hassan. I'm an incoming freshman at Rice University. So I graduated just this year. I'm a Questbridge scholar, alhamdulillah. I'm class of 2030. I hope to enter into political science and sociology as a double major. I want to become a lawyer and then a judge. And those are some of my hobbies. And I can't wait to share my experiences with you today and help you maximize your college application journey. And inshallah, just give you some tips that worked for me as well. Okay, so the key to claiming your seat at the nation's top universities for free, it's really simple. It's Questbridge, and Questbridge itself is kind of just like Common App or like the coalition application process, but in a way, it's a way to apply for college and also get a scholarship. So they offer something called the National College Match Scholarship. So it's a nonprofit connecting high-achieving, low-income students with over 55 different colleges across the United States, and that includes all the Ivies, Duke, Rice, MIT, University of Virginia, Northwestern, Stanford, UChicago, USC, Tufts, and many, many more. Okay, so typically the application process starts in your senior year, anywhere between August and December. But I know that a lot of different people are joining us today. So if you're a junior, it's really important to keep your eyes out for Questbridge as well, because you can join the College Prep Scholars Program. And basically it gives you a head start on your college application journey as a high school junior to be able to get scholarships, awards, resources, and even mentorship to help you stand out in the college application process. And it'll help streamline it because you're being mentored from Questbridge scholars as well. So it's people who have done the scholarship and have achieved it and are helping tailor your path that way. Okay, why? So why apply to Questbridge? It completely removes the price tag of attending college. It's a $0 cost of attendance. So it's a full 4-year scholarship. And the advantage of it is that it stands at a vantage point because it's a scholarship, but also a way to apply to college. So you're not just applying for the money, you're also being vetted by the admissions of the colleges themselves. So colleges will look at your scholarship application, and that's how they will decide if they want to match with you or not. Okay, so what's included? So the scholarship is provided by each individual school. Questbridge is just a way to kind of unify the schools together so that they're all able to give you the scholarship, basically. So it's included but not limited to housing and food, books and supplies, tuition fees, and even travel expenses. And some admissions packages, also include technology, like mine includes technology, and sometimes they even give you personal expenses per semester just to help alleviate the cost of attending college in general. Okay, so the Common App versus Questbridge. Me personally, as a college applicant, I did apply through Common App for some universities, and I also did Questbridge. And I found that the Questbridge application process, though it was a bit more intensive, it was definitely much more strategic in being able to secure a scholarship and guarantee a scholarship. So the target audience, I'm just going to compare Questbridge and Common App briefly. So for Common App, the target audience is just any high school student that's ready to apply for colleges and universities. And for Questbridge, typically the pool of applicants, though not always, it's just kind of geared towards low-income first-generation students that are also high achieving. So it's a pool that is able to make you stand out, especially if you come from low-income or first-generation households. You have a vantage point of being able to stand out in your pool of applicants. The application process. So in the Common App, you create one application and you can submit it to as many colleges as you'd like. In Questbridge, you apply for Questbridge, as if it's a scholarship, and then you're shortlisted. And after that, then you're matched with your respective partner school. Application costs. So for Common App, there is an application fee per school. Some may vary, though you may be eligible for a fee waiver, and that's something that you would discuss with a guidance counselor or a teacher of some sort. And the key thing on Common App is if you get into a college, like let's say I applied to MSU, it wouldn't, through the Common App, it would not be a binding decision. So a binding decision is where you would sign a legal agreement that binds you to the school if you get in. So if I were to get into MSU through Common App, I would not have to attend if it was not a binding decision. On the other hand, for Questbridge, there is no cost associated with applying. You get to rank 15 schools for free, but it is a binding decision. So you would have to attend the school if you were to get in. Financial aid. So financial aid in the Common App, it's school dependent, so you're not guaranteed a scholarship, but Questbridge, you are guaranteed the scholarship. Also, the support is not guaranteed, though in Questbridge, you would have access to mentorship and alumni. And if you're a college applicant in the Common App and you get into the college you want, you're part of 73% of all nationwide applicants that do apply to college and get in. But in Questbridge, it's lifetime distinction. So you're also a Questbridge scholar. So you're 1% of the total college-going population in the United States who did get in through Questbridge. Okay, the next part I'm going to be talking about is the essay standpoint, and just briefly, because I know someone else is going to be talking on essays, but I just want you to know that admissions officers are reading through thousands of essays, and to be able to stand out, you must move from stating just the challenges that you faced to actually framing them as something unique to you, your unique philosophy. And that's something that Questbridge really depends on. They have a essay question, and I'm going to pop it up right here, actually. It's 800 words, and you get to describe basically, it's a personal essay, so you get to explain your situation and your story. And here's the question. They're interested in learning about the context in which you've grown up, formed your aspirations, and accomplished your successes. So they want you to describe influential factors and challenges in your life that helped shape you to who you are today. So looking at this essay question, just like any other essay question for university, in general, they tend to have very cliched tropes. So a trope or an idea that can be built around this is, let's say you're an athlete, for example, and you get injured, and that helped reframe the way you see the world. Or let's say you're an immigrant or a child of immigrants. That's the trope I chose. Like, it's a very cliche story and one that they see quite often, but it shouldn't discourage you from speaking your truth if that's your truth, you know? So just like a lot of people will be talking about it, why can't you frame it and make it yours? So I'm gonna show you a side-by-side comparison in some parts of my personal essay that I wrote and comparing it with a more cliche sort of variation, just to help you avoid cliche on such a cliche topic and frame it into something unique and compelling. So the intro is really, really important. So let's say, for example, this is a person who's talking about some hardships that they had growing up financially. So my family went through a lot, which made me hardworking. From a young age, they made sure I was determined not to repeat their mistakes. Before I could even walk, they held me tight so I wouldn't fall into the same traps that they did. Okay, this is fine. It's cliche because it feels very common. Like it's just talking about being hardworking. Yes, they hope that you're hardworking if you're trying to apply for college. And yeah, it shows like the parent involvement in life, but it sounds very common. So how would you frame it into something less common? I'm going to show you an excerpt from mine. Okay. At home, I was taught the alphabet contained only 3 letters, D, L, E. Nothing more, nothing less. These weren't a random pick. They were a 3-digit code meant to secure the world of chaos that unraveled and destroyed my family's once long-standing legacy. My family's story is one of self-made wealth, merely eradicated by injustice and political turmoil. So here, as I give you a side-by-side comparison, we can see that we're talking about generally the same thing. But first off, if I was reading this and I was new, I'd be like, what is DLE? What is this writer talking about? And a key that I found very consistent with when I got scholarships or when I would be awarded with things is that the essays that have something unique and kind of out of the box is what gets the admissions officer hooked. Like I said before, admissions officers are reading thousands of essays a day, so they won't remember one if there's nothing that stands out. This is telling a trope that's very common, but you're going to be like, what is DLE? And I'm going to explain that in the next slide. Also, different ways of describing exactly what you're trying to say. A 3-digit code meant to secure the world of chaos that unraveled and destroyed my family's once long-standing legacy. So it shows that there was turmoil that happened, or there was hard work into making sure that the kids of the future generation wouldn't fall into that, or the same traps that the parents did. So it's the same message, just kind of executed in a different, more interactive and compelling way. Okay, so the next slide, the immigrant story. So I know a lot of us might choose to opt for this story, and that's totally fine. Just learn to frame it uniquely and interestingly. Okay, so as they hauled their luggage off the plane, they realized the effect of corruption. I'm just gonna highlight that part. And then I spoke. DLE stood for doctor, lawyer, and engineer. So it was a way for my family to ensure that the formulas that stood for the professions in the alphabet that seemed to guarantee the stability that eluded them in their newfound life. So my comparison for the first sentence would be hauling their luggage from terminal to taxi. They bore not bags, but the harsh reality that violation of rule of law could eradicate one's future overnight. So they're realizing the same effects of corruption, except I was able to put it in a way that was a bit more descriptive or visual. And even the airport scene, that it's a bit more visual and enticing and keeps the reader hooked a little bit. Yeah. Yes, picking a turning point. So this is kind of like I wanted to help others solve their problems and dodged many problems myself along the path. Is this the right choice? How will this make me stronger? Because of my family's lessons along my childhood, I realized that I wanted to be a lawyer. That was my true calling. My family sacrificed everything for me, and I wanted to pay it forward. Again, this is fine to say. It's just very cliche, very common. So how can you frame it in a different way? I always try to pick a theme that I can stay consistent with, especially when I have the turning point or the pivot of what I realized in my story. And that's going to be discussed in the next person's slideshow as well. So my theme, was I chose to choose nature and trees. And for me, that represents growth. And it's something that's instilled in me that kind of symbolizes that growth as well. So I realized it wasn't up to me to simply cherry pick a profession from the fruit basket. Again, that's echoing on nature. Navigating the orchard of life, funneling out the bruised fruit, moving towards the next tree of promise. So picking a theme and staying consistent with it. And then it helps support your turning point. The foundational context of how my family became what it is today, the sacrifices of my tough grandfathers and their families, did not lock me into a single letter. Instead, it shaped me to realize that the highest form of learning is application within society. So that way I was able to say my turning point, not making it sound super boring, and also wrap it around with my theme as well and stay consistent throughout the entire essay. I just have a last part I wanted to talk as it also ties into our next part of activities. So drop in your achievements discreetly in your personal essay, but don't make it too obvious. So it's a trick that I found was because I used DLE, doctor, lawyer, engineer, and I kind of spoke about how I was able to converge all of these different career paths to create myself as an active human being in society. I chose to literally use my activities to be able to bridge them. So I said, like, I'm not going to list all my activities, but blank, these were all the activities that I did, and they were a doctor's approach to solving social complex problems. Or I did the following activities, and they were skills often honed in engineering. So I'm touching into all these sides of my identity. And this list of activities has proved the practical, legislative, and communication mastery necessary to enact meaningful change. So now you're able to tie in your achievements without saying, I did this, this, and this. You're able to tie it into your essay as a whole. And that way it shows that you're still aware of what you've done, but you're not just like listing it all in a way that's not very organized, you know, because it's important to list your activities, because if you don't brag about it, somebody else is going to brag and get the scholarship. But what's important is also to show your humility and your understanding towards how they helped you as a person in your general application. Okay, I know that was a lot in terms of essays and a lot of reading. So I'm just going to talk briefly about activities and awards, because this is a really important part of the QuestBridge application as well, and Common App as well. Any of these tips can be used for either application. So when you're thinking activities, you don't want to just report your activities and list them down, as I said. You want to report your influence. Use the space they've given you wisely, and don't just talk about the activity that you did, but how it helped yourself and how it helped other people as well. And a way that I like to do that is not just using numbers, but supporting the numbers by emotion. So I have a whole list because I'm sharing this slideshow, but I'm just going to go through a few, and you can come back and report to them later if you'd like. Okay, so you can say you were a volunteer, okay? So a weak task-focused sort of description of the activity would be youth volunteer. That would be the title. And the description would be, I volunteered for a local Black youth group. These are some of my personal activities that I use to be able to maximize my application. But a strong and impact-focused report on your activities would be having something all-encompassing. So what did you do? I was a community advocate, I was a keynote speaker and MC, and I led workshops. So that's going to be my title. It's long, but if you cut down on what you did, other people aren't going to cut down and they're going to get the scholarship. So you need to be as descriptive as possible while also being engaging. So instead of saying I just simply volunteered at a local Black youth group, I said drove systemic change impacting, and I added numbers, 2,000 Black lives. And these are some of the workshops that I did: economic security, gender-based violence workshops, organized annual youth symposium, bridging 100 plus Indigenous Black youth. There's some key words that you can notice here: driving systemic change or bridging Indigenous and Black youth. Using these kind of words helps pair the emotion piece with the numbers. So it doesn't just look like I'm listing a bunch of numbers like I did this and that and this and that, and here are some numbers to prove that I did it, but also adding the emotion piece humanizes your application and makes people empathize with it as well or relate. Okay, I'm going to use a podcast, for example. Okay, I have a podcast. So a weak task-focused description of my activity would be, I have a podcast about Spotify, about faith and inspiring women. That's like, it lists what you've done, but it's a little weaker. So a strong, more impact-focused way would be reporting what you did. So I'm a co-founder and host, AI developer, and a content creator. That is my job. Now, what did I do in a strong, impact-focused way? Co-founded platform and Spotify podcast, insert the numbers, 2.3K plays, 40 countries, to amplify and inspire Muslim women and spark meaningful connection in sisterhood group chat. So I basically just said, I have a podcast, I have a platform, I inspire Muslim women and create meaningful dialogue in this group chat that I've hosted. So by having the numbers, it shows, oh, wow, okay, this person really knows what they're doing and they have created meaningful. They have created, amplify, inspire, sparking meaningful connection, sisterhood. All of these words are kind of like trigger words to not just admissions officers, but to human beings. It touches on human emotion and helps people empathize with your work and really realize how strong it is. There's a few. There's one for athletics, one for conference participants, school clubs. You can look through these. The slides will be shared, but it just really gets you thinking on how you're framing your activities and how to maximize them and maximize your potential as well. Okay, awards as well. Awards are proof of potential, but an award is only as good as the problem that it solves. So again, you're not going to have that much space to describe your award or what it was or how much it was, but this is why you explain it in the essays and the other parts of your application as well. So for me, the awards, I generally did tend to make them more about the impact. So let me give you an example here. Yeah, so this is like let me see, this is like a more negative example, not necessarily bad, but just less descriptive. The award is where you really want to honestly just put it out there. That's like your bragging area, okay? And then you can support it with the emotional pieces in your essay as well, just because the awards are more limited and scarce. And I'll explain that later as well. So a less impactful way of saying your award is awarded $1,000 to pursue a project using AI through the Ingenious Awards. A more prominent way of explaining it is awarded the Lieutenant Governor General / Rideau Hall Foundation Ingenious Plus Award, a $1,000 grant for chatbot innovation followed with mentorship. So here, the additions that I made was I said who it was, the Lieutenant Governor General and Rideau Hall Foundation. I'm Canadian, so I'm a Canadian American, so I'm American living in Canada. So if a Canadian admissions officer were to see this, then it would spark some sensors. So that's what was able to help me. And then $1,000 grant, yes, you say the amount, which is good. AI chatbot innovation. Using the word innovation, especially with awards, shows that you didn't just do the thing, you're willing to innovate and show potential with it, and followed with mentorship. The mentorship aspect also shows that you're willing to do something with it. So it's all about how you frame things. There's nothing wrong with the first one. It's just, it doesn't show the potential. Yeah. Okay, just a few notes. On the QuestBridge application, you're limited to 5 activities and 4 awards. So you need to make sure to choose your activities wisely. Which ones gave you the most impact? In contrast, Common App allows for 10 activities and 5 awards. Make sure when you're listing your activities, you vary in activity type. So for example, if I already have something for media creation, I'm not going to put that I was a podcaster there. Maybe I can put media, the podcasting in religious organization because it is for Muslim women. Just vary your activity types so that it shows that you're well-rounded and you have a holistic approach towards your community work as well. Okay, recommendations. These are a really, really important part, and I'm going to go through it a little quickly. So you need to make sure to be your own spokesperson. But that being said, having recommenders is really, really important because it shows that you have people who are willing to vet for you, but they don't just know you. Like a teacher will just know you in the classroom. A mentor will just know you outside of the classroom. So you need to create a brag book. So recommenders can be coaches, club advisors, teachers, employers, mentors, imams and priests, community members and leaders, even peers, and etc. So if you want to access the slide later, I made a template for the brag book that you can use for teachers and mentors. But some quick tips that you can use are, if they will load, the problem. Your teachers and your mentors only see one slice of you. So you need to make sure to provide a brag sheet that serves as a great guide for your recommenders. So what I like to do is I like to include 3 adjectives in my perspective that briefly tell them how I want to be described, specifically how I define myself and why, just in a few sentences. Then you want to give some context. You need to make sure not to be shy with giving your circumstances. For example, I talked about the war in Sudan and how that affected my family as well. Often people feel polite not noting on hardships. Like a teacher wouldn't just be like, oh, for example, this student is struggling with financial hardships at home, unless they're explicitly told, hey, this is what I'm struggling with right now. There's no shyness in explaining your situation to your teachers or your mentors, because these circumstances they will only help alleviate your stress in the long run. Like, for example, if you're struggling with financial hardships at home, being able to have the confidence to report that to your teachers, to your club advisors in a way that will be able to help you, it's going to help you in the long run. Then you won't have to pay for college and things like that. So try not to be so shy or kind of iffy on explaining your circumstances. Explain yourself as a person as a whole. And there's no shyness in doing that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. So explain and give permission to mention circumstances as comfortable as you are. And lastly, proudest moment. Remind the teacher or the mentor of a specific project where you showed intellectual vitality or leadership. For example, in their class, what was a class or a lesson that you really enjoyed and that you were really proud of? Because it also shows that you're able to reflect on the class in a way, in a standpoint that's less shallow and more deep. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a way that you're able to reflect on your strengths and say, wow, you know what? I really did a good job on that. And remind the teacher, because they're not going to remember. They have 30 other students in the class. So just make sure to be it also shows that you're intellectually aware. Okay, remember to add in your little brag book, make sure to have your GPA. Make sure to tell your teachers deadlines verbally and also include them in your in your brag book. So I like to give teachers or recommenders ample time, anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks to write my recommendation, just because they have other students to write for as well. And if you ask in September, that's also really helpful if you didn't ask in the summer, just because that's a time where they don't have as many students asking them. Make sure to have your 10 activities, 5 awards, or 5 activities, 5 awards if for the QuestBridge application. And make sure to list these activities and awards effectively so that they're able to see you as a holistic human being or a holistic student. Make sure to also add your career and college goals, why you've chosen the recommender. Describe your most significant extracurricular involvements. Actually, literally write what makes you unique and from others, and describe your greatest strengths, obviously in a humble tone, but you need to tell them what you believe makes you unique or why they should vet for you. Make sure to include some major obstacles and how you overcame them, whether academic, personal, family, financial, health-wise, etc. And even elaborate on if your transcript reflects your abilities or potential accurately. I know this might be a scary thing for some students to be like, well, my transcript says I'm a 3.0 student, so I'm a 3.0 student, but there's a lot of circumstances that can go into your grade and if your transcript reflects you. Like, for example, I'm going to use me as an example. I travel a lot because my dad lives abroad, and so I'll travel every winter and every summer, and that affects the loss of how much time I get to have in the classroom. Sometimes I'll have to do exams earlier, sometimes I'll have to take my work and do it while I'm abroad, or I don't know, it's like a really complicated process, and that can really affect a student. And so if you can elaborate on if you feel that your transcript reflects you accurately or not, then it shows that you also have that self-awareness, and it shows that you're a strong human being. So don't be afraid to do that. It's totally normal. And even if it's not travel, if it's mental health, if it's sports, if you have to take care of your family members at home, that's also a very valid reason as to why your transcript might not reflect you accurately. And don't be shy to voice that out and advocate for yourself. Extenuating circumstances. This is a really important one because, again, people shy away from it, especially if you feel that you're a high achieving student and you have a lot of pressure on you, whether that's mental health or financial or medical bills, caregiving, etc., displacement and war. You want to be able to state the pressure clearly, whether in the Common App or the QuestBridge application or any scholarships. Make sure that you're using the additional information slide or section, I guess, to your fullest advantage. Like, don't back away from using that area because it's really important to be able to give a whole view of who you are. Never leave anything blank. Also, follow it immediately with your response, how you were able to manage your time, how you stayed on track, how you supported your family. This can also be used in your personal essays. Even a lot of my supplemental essays were talking about this. Also, it demonstrates your achievements that were earned in spite of the challenges because things were not easy. Remember, pressure plus response is equal to resilience. So if you're able to state the pressure and your response to it, you show that you're more than capable of being a candidate for the school. Okay, as we wrap up, I just want to give you guys a brief overview of the QuestBridge timeline. So some key dates to stay on top of it all. Right now, we are in QuestBridge application season. So the match application opens in the late summer, so around August. So even from now, start researching college partners to rank. I have some links that link the college partners, but you can also search this all up online. The National College Match application deadline is October 1st. October 15th, the match ranking form has the deadline. So you rank up to 15 schools if you were shortlisted as an applicant. October 21st, finalists who ranked colleges continue with their match requirements. November 1st, this is a really important date, and I kind of messed up on this, so I don't want you guys to follow in my mistake. But finalists should submit all necessary materials to each college partner they ranked, supplementals. So supplemental essays, these are essays that are specific for each university. Please, please, please pay attention to them because this is like the Common App just condensed into the QuestBridge application. So each university will have 3 to 5 different essays ranging from 50 to 400 words where you state, you answer their prompts in addition to your main personal statement. So these are all the schools that I had. So you can see 15 different schools, and I had to write 4 to 5 essays for each school. So 60 to 75 essays in 5 days. And I was so stressed and I was just like sleep deprived and tired. And I didn't even realize the amount of work that would have to go into them, because some of them, like U Chicago, they have weird questions like, where is Waldo? How are you going to answer that? So you need to make sure to have a clear headspace and be able to answer things with the utmost degree of be present, be very present. That's all I want to say, because you need to make sure that your application is reflecting you accurately. So make sure to clear some space for those supplementals. Yes, the essays are an investment in your future, so it is worth it. I know it's a lot when you just look at it this way, but what I started doing was I just wrote a few concrete essays. They all have the same kind of structure, the supplementals. So you can write 5 to 10 essays for each school, and then research the school, their mottos, their city's mottos, their values, sometimes even their logo, and how do you fit into it? How do you fit into that school or that environment? And also research their amenities, specific classes, institutes, competitive internships, libraries, etc. So I'm going to show you a little tip that I did. For example, this was literally what I wrote. Through Rice's blank, I hope to ground, this is what I wanted to achieve, ground intellectual critique in civic impact and examine systemic inequities. Beyond academics, Rice's blank embodies the mosaic of driven dialogue learning I hope to engage in. Whether through blank or collaborative projects at blank, I see opportunities to blend mentorship, empathy, and action. So everything that's bolded here are things that I wanted to have as a student. But how is Rice going to help support me with these things? So I would insert blanks into like what at Rice is going to help me embody the mosaic of dialogue-driven learning, or what at Rice is going to help me ground intellectual critique and civic impact. I don't know, and I didn't have time to search up for every single school. So what I did was, after you're done writing your own work, leave the blanks and take it into ChatGPT and say, this is like a safe way to use ChatGPT, guys. Say, ChatGPT, I hope to do this and that and this and that in university. So you're still remaining authentic in your tone and in your intent, because you hope to do all of these things. How can this school help me do that? So then ChatGPT was able to tell me, oh, Rice has a program in politics, law, and social thought. So I was like, okay, I'll look into that. And I searched that up. And yes, this does help me achieve what I want to do. Or yes, Rice has a huge culture of care that helps me. So I inserted that right there. Or the Fondren Library, or the Civic Center for Civic Leadership. That also helps me. Same thing here with, here, this is a more specific thing. You can even insert things like classes. I wanted thought-provoking studies through courses like, and I found political science, political sociology. That's a course that really appeals to me. And now I know that that course is offered and I can keep it in the back of my mind if I get into the school. But also it helps show that I did my research of the school. I'm not just like any other applicant that just wants to get in. I'm interested in utilizing the free resources that come with my cost of attendance as well. The Bonner Leaders Program, Your Voice CLT, all of these things help me maximize my experience at UNC. So that's why that's how I'm showing I'm interested. Okay, November 1st, that was when the supplementals are due. And December 1st, the great thing is you get your decision early. So the match results are released. If you're not matched, you can still explore the regular decision program on QuestBridge. So it's just a regular way to apply, just like Common App, for free. It does not offer the binding full ride scholarship, but you are still able, all the colleges there are able to meet 99 to 100% of demonstrated financial needs. And it's a way to also be a QuestBridge scholar as well. So I understand that was long. Thank you for your time, everybody. I will share the slides so that you're able to reference, because it's a lot of condensed information. But I just really hope that this was helpful. Feel free to connect and stay in touch. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email me. And yeah, I just really hope that this was helpful, and inshallah, it's able to streamline your process. I know it was a huge mouthful to absorb, so I thank you for your time and your patience. And I wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you مايا. شكرا جزيلا على المجهود الكبير اللي قمت به، وشكرا على المعلومات القيمة يعني ما أكاد أصدق إنه يعني اجتهدتي بقدر المستطاع عشان توصلي المعلومة أو كيف تخلي الناس التانيين يستفيدوا من التجربة بتاعتك في إنه يبدوا رحلتهم الخاصة. شكرا جزيلا مايا، ونحتفظ بالفرصة بتاعت الأسئلة ليكي في الفقرة في آخر الويبينار. إن شاء الله نفتح الفرصة لآية تجي المتحدثة الثالثة تورينا تعرفنا بنفسها وتورينا تجربتها، وإن شاء الله في الأخير حتكون الأسئلة. شكرا كثير مايا المرة الثانية.
السلام عليكم يا جماعة، أنا اسمي آية حسن. I'm gonna share السكرين حقتي. كلكم شايفين إن شاء الله؟ You can all see my screen?
It's loading، يعني بتحمل لسه.
Okay.
كده شايفيننا.
Perfect. Okay, تمام. Still loading. Okay, بسم الله. So اليوم أنا حتكلم معاكم عن كيف تكتب essay للcollege admissions, how to write a killer college essay, ويعني the power of اللغة when applying for schools and scholarships, because it's all in how you speak and how you يعني frame your accomplishments and the struggles you went through. So my name is Aya. Inshallah, I'll be attending the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. Alhamdulillah, I was awarded 2 full tuitions, but I picked this school, alhamdulillah. So I will be a D scholar at the University of St. Thomas. I'm a passionate writer and poet. بكتب شعر وبحب أكتب. So it only makes sense this is what my workshop's about. I'm a public speaker, I'm a podcaster, and I'm an advocate. So that's a bit about me. Leila, I'm going to speak with you guys about number 1, the narrative. So owning your narrative and beating the imposter syndrome. يعني ما تحس إنه أنت وحيد في البروسس، ويعني تكون confident بالaccomplishments بتاعتك. AI use and how to use different technological tools. يعني كيف تستعمل الذكاء الصناعي والplatforms المختلفة اللي ممكن تلاقيها online. Vulnerability, so as a strength, how to show not just tell. So كيف يعني توري accomplishments حقنك والstruggle حقتك، ما بس تقول أنا مريت بكذا، توري how did I overcome this basically. So using vulnerability as a strength. Okay, so it's really crazy, it's an absurd number. لكن according to Forbes, 100 million USD in scholarship money goes unclaimed every single year, mostly due to the lack of applicants. فكل القروش دي is going away, it's going unclaimed بس عشان الناس خايفين ولا they just don't apply يعني. So people are really sleeping on it, and it's a serious issue عشان this is so much money that's going unclaimed, لكن it can really help you fund your education. So number 1 هنتكلم عن الناريتيف. Meet Ahmed. هنستعمل case study اسمه Ahmed. He's a first gen student. He is involved in student council, in soccer, in his chess club في المدرسة, and entrepreneurship. So ده الإمباكت حقه في المدرسة، يعني إمباكت عالي. عنده حاجات كثيرة ممكن يتكلم عنها ومتنوع يعني في الحاجات اللي بيعملها، مثلا like sports, also like civic engagement, entrepreneurship وbusiness. So عنده حاجات كثيرة ممكن يتكلم عنها. He's looking at a $20,000 scholarship and he thinks, nah, I don't deserve it. Someone else has a better story. How am I supposed to put all of these accomplishments or all of these things I'm involved in? How am I supposed to write an essay and make a story? They're not going to pick me. لكن he's thinking wrong, because people believe what you tell them to believe. أنا ما بقول لكم كذبوا، لكن بقول لكم اللي أنتوا بتقولوه للscholarship committee, that's what they're gonna believe. هم ما بيعرفوك إلا لو أنت تقول accomplishments حقتك وتحكي عن struggles حقتك وتحكي عن قصتك. هم ما عارفينك. So you have to tell them and build a story so that they actually believe you and they see your potential. If you write like you don't belong, they're going to agree with you. But if you write like this is your space, they'll notice your potential. So Diamond always acts like, I deserve this. This is like, I can do this. And you have to have belief in yourself. And when you don't have belief in yourself, you can't go forward. Ooh, that's why that $100 million goes unclaimed, because so many students lack that belief in themselves. So الcase study حقنا أحمد, again, these skills حقنا يعني he thinks, I don't know, I'm not sure if I can do this, I don't think I deserve this, لكن أنا حوريكم وحوري أحمد يعني كيف هو ممكن يفريم كل الحاجات دي عشان يكون عنده a meaningful application. So this is how, when you're writing an essay, you need to think about the point you're trying to make. So the first starting point is, how did you find this space? So let's say I'm going to give you guys an example afterwards, but so before, this is what you're going to do. How did you find this space? Lay out the humble draft on what you did. I volunteered at soccer. Okay, that's what you did. That's the point you're trying to make. Number 2, you're going to say what you did, and then you're going to be impact driven with numbers, but also words with emotion. And I know that Maya touched on that. So what in specific did you do as a soccer coach volunteer, for example? For example, I co-organized 7 events, each consisting of 30 to 40 guest members. So that shows numbers. That's good, but also you want to give words that have impact. So I co-led 7 initiatives, empowering 7 initiatives, empowering 30 to 40 guests or members. You want to use words that attract the admissions officers or the people who are giving the scholarship. And numbers always matter because هم عايزين يشوفوا, okay, you could do an impact, but like, how many people did you impact? How many initiatives did you lead? So impact driven, you have to be impact driven. And then the third thing you want to mention is, why does this all matter? Because they could care less. You're not just going to say, oh, I did this, this is the impact I left, but why does it matter? What did you take away from the experience? What did others take away from the experience? So this might sound like a lot because there's no example attached to it, but I'm going to give you guys an example in Ahmed's case. So Ahmed can volunteer soccer coach. Before, هو قال, I volunteered as a soccer coach on weekends. I helped out a group of local kids and taught them how to play and improve their soccer skills. So that's what he did. After, what is the impact? How many people did he help? How many practices did he run? Give numbers to show your impact. He spearheaded weekly athletic mentorship sessions for a diverse group of 15 youth, designing tactical drills that boosted team tournament placement by 40% while fostering core leadership and collaboration skills. So you put the numbers, but you also put, okay, what did you take out of it? He fostered core leadership skills and collaboration skills. Also emphasize on the numbers, but then how that touches on your skills. And then the lesson he learned, and he was able to exercise project management. He was able to be patient with the kids, community organization, and mentorship. So that was kind of a mouthful, but when you're formulating an essay, these are the steps, or kind of just breaking it down into percentages of how I think really makes a good essay. Number 1, you need to have a good hook. 35% of the essay, or if we're talking about impact, this is not exact numbers, but just a big part of your essay is the hook. Al-hook here, the starting point of an essay. Admissions officers, they go through hundreds and hundreds of applications every single day. لو عندك starting point that is the same as everyone else, do you think they're really going to stay and be intrigued and interested in reading through it? They're not going to be. So you need to have a good hook. You need to have something that pulls people in. So in my opinion, the biggest part is that good hook. You also have the part of what you learned. What did you learn? Or sorry, let's go to what you did. Let's go in order. So you have your hook, and then you have what you did. So just like Ahmed said, he volunteered at soccer. So you want to mention what you did, but it's not really what you did that's the most important thing. It's also like the impact and what you learned. So you have your good hook, and then you have what you did. Then afterwards, when you say what you did, you have how it impacted others. How did this initiative impact others? What are the numbers involved? What is the impact that you made? And then lastly, you have what you learned, what you took out of the experience, what others might have taken out of the experience. So that's just kind of how to formulate this. I know this is a lot, but I will be sharing the slides. Inshallah, حشارك slides معاكم, فممكن to go back into it, and you can always reach out to me to ask questions or if you want me to proofread. Number 2, حنتكلم عن الذكاء الصناعي and how to use a technology to your advantage. So طبعا I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, لكن أنا شلت التبس اللي أنا خدتها هنا وقلت للAI أعمل لي introductory paragraph or a part of Ahmed's essay using the skills that he used. So for the first part, he had a really good hook. You can read through it. The whistle around my neck felt less like a tool for authority and more like a countdown timer. Standing on a patch of grass, looking at 15 kids who had no idea how to play soccer, I realized that leadership wasn't about giving orders from the sideline. So he's starting with a bit of sensory. The whistle around my neck felt like a tool of authority and more like a countdown timer. So he's using sensory things that are sensory and just objects in order to grasp attention. When the admissions officer is reading through that and that's the first sentence they see, they're gonna be like, what's he talking about? Whistle around his neck. What's he talking about? Authority. I want to read more about this. So always your hook has to be interesting. And then he talked about what he did. Every Saturday morning, he helped them with drills. And then he talked about the impact within 6 months. This happened. This was the progress that happened since I came and I showed up and I was helping these kids. And then what he learned. What did he learn? He learned about true mentorship. He learned about that it's not just critiquing and creating good athletes. It's about managing chaos and building trust and leadership skills, etc., etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a game. هنعمل a little game out of this. أنا لما أكتب essay, I didn't write this, but أنا لما أكتب essay, say this was my essay. I'm going to take this essay, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into AI. You can use any AI you want. I don't like ChatGPT, but I would use ChatGPT. I use Copilot. Lakin you don't just paste it into AI and say, write it for me. No, because that is cheating, and they will definitely see through it. So what you do is you have to think smart. You have a prompt and you're asking AI for help. You're not asking an AI يكتب لك الأسي كله. بتسأل ال AI إنه يساعدك to support you عشان تعمل الapplication يكون stronger. So بتقول لل AI, I am applying for blank scholarship or university application. Keeping in mind the institution's values, I want you to assess my piece as an admissions officer. Show me how I can improve to have a good shot and strengthen my points. No plagiarism, my words only. So تقول للAI أنا بكتب هذه السكولرشيب مثلا Questbridge scholarship. I'll just use that as an example. And then to show what are the values of the Questbridge scholarship. Do they value integrity? Do they value initiative? Do they value like what do they value? How can I add al-hajat that I've done into that scholarship so it stands out for them? And then to go AI chatbot, I want you to assess my piece as an admissions officer. أنا عايزك to تقرأ البيس حقتي ما كأنك AI chatbot, كأنك admissions officer. So they see it in that point of view. So حنعملها هسي real quick. هوريكم example. If this loads. Okay. So you're copying it, pasting it into AI, grab the essay that you wrote, because we don't want to cheat. We want the AI to give us feedback on how we can improve. Paste, and then you send the prompt into AI. Okay, let's just tell it, oh, sorry. Let's just tell it it's the Questbridge scholarship. Oops, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, that's okay. It's fine, it's not working. But المهم إنه the AI would tell you your strengths and your weaknesses. So you can improve touching more on the scholarship's values in this domain, or you can improve more in this sense. Regardless, I know we had some troubleshooting issues. Lakin I will share the slideshow with you guys so you can تجربوها with your personal essays. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Okay, next slide. برضو a tip I'm going to give you is بعد ما تكتب كل الessays حقينك تكون عندك Google document with all your applications. مثلا أنا عندي a Google Doc where أنا بكتب application. I don't just leave it there. I don't just write it in the portal for the scholarship. I write it in a Google document, so you can always have proof that of what you wrote, and you can always have it and run back to it. And then you also have all the scholarships, the list of scholarships you applied for, or the your answers to applications. And then مثلا لو في questions مطابقات between two different scholarships, you already have the answer. You can simply copy it and paste it into that other scholarship. So first of all, it saves you time. Second of all, it's already your work. It's already your original idea. So it's just saving you time, and it's already a good piece that you've written. So might as well just paste it. Number 3, هنتكلم عن vulnerability. Perfection is boring. Resilience is what gets you funded and builds your story arc. So ما عايز تكون زي كل applicants تتكلم عن نفس القصة or بنفس الطريقة عشان there are certain tropes that are common between people, but you also want to تميز روحك. يعني ممكن تكتب عن نفس الحاجة بالضبط لكن كيف حتميز روحك. You don't think about being perfect. Write about your mistakes. Write about your struggles, because هم عايزين يشوفوا اوكي الطالب او الطالبة دي مرت بظروف صعبة جدا لكن how did they come out successful. صح؟ So the flawless essay. Most students write essays trying to look perfect. لكن as I said before, admissions officers بيقروا through آلاف essays في اليوم و frequently they forget about them because they're not memorable, because they're trying to be flawless. But you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to write about just your accomplishments. Write about your mistakes. Write about the struggles and the things you went through and how you overcame them. It's all about balance. Number 2, the humanizing pivot. I kind of touched on this, but write about your mistakes as well. For example, in Ahmed's case, he could have said, in my second month, I mismanaged our tournament registration, disqualifying us from the finals. طبعا that isn't a good thing. Like, why would he write about that? But he said, I had to look 15 kids in the eye and admit I failed them. He's not just going to mention his failure. He's going to mention how he overcame that. What did that failure teach him? It taught him to be more responsible, to be more resilient, and it taught him these lessons in order to be better in the future. So even mentioning your struggles, obviously you have to balance it. You're not just going to diss yourself the whole essay, but humanize yourself a bit and give yourself grace, because the admissions officers want to see growth, not just flawlessness and perfection throughout your whole high school career. They want to see those pitfalls and how you overcame them. The magic ratio. Spend 20% of the space describing your mistake or your struggles, and then 80% on the ownership and the comeback. How did you fix things or learn from this experience? So again, just kind of balance of failures or mistakes or struggles and how you came back and took initiative and ownership from your mistakes. And what did you learn? How did you fix it? And then finally, Ahmed gets into his dream university. But the financial aid package falls short by $8,000. This really sucks. What does he do? He doesn't just give up, he appeals. So an appeal is a formal request where you ask the Office of Financial Aid to look over your financial information and reconsider the package that they gave you. فلو أحمد دخل الجامعة لكن هو لسه ناقص قروش إنه يخش ويكون successful، فما بس يعني he's not just gonna give up خلاص يقول المدرسة دي ما يعني ما كويسة لي خلاص يعني I guess I won't go to college because I can't afford it. لا, that is a mistake. لازم لسه تجرب وتدي I don't know كلمة appeal بالعربي لكن يعني تقدم يعني شنو يا ماما؟ استعطاف. اوكي استعطاف للجامعة انه يريفيو financial aid package حقك. انا personally عندي experience بهذا situation وحتكلم عنه اكثر. لكن basically لما تكتب appeal, these are the steps that you can take. Number 1, you have to have gratitude and commitment. So ما ممكن بس تقول للناس يعني ادوني قروش اكثر يعني ساعدوني. لازم تقول يعني شكرا، بقدر كتير يعني إنكم يعني you chose me and you gave me the scholarship. So make it clear that you want to be there and that you belong there. Don't write كأنه oh I don't belong there. No, you do belong there. So you need to know how to play your words. Number 2, vulnerability gap. Don't be shy or embarrassed about money. State the raw facts. If there was a change in financial situation حقك, if your family literally can't afford that, don't be shy or embarrassed to mention that. You need to put it in detail. لو انت ما قلت لهم هم ما يعني عارفين السيتويشن حقتك. So you have to tell them. You can't be shy. State the raw facts. Number 3, leverage and updates. Share what has changed since you applied. مثلا انت you applied 3 months ago وبعد ذاك they got back to you and now you have to appeal 3 months later. في حاجة تغيرت في educational journey حقك. مثلا did Ahmed's soccer team just win a national championship, which makes him يعني high in demand, so the school will want him even more? Or like, was there a change in his family's income? Was there مثلا الحرب, did that put a strain on his family's financial situation? So you have to put leverage, like say what changed since you applied. Because oftentimes they get back to you يعني مثلا a few months after, unless it's a special case they get back to you right away. لكن يعني and don't wait to appeal right away as soon as you can عشان القروش دي كلها it's sitting there and people will come and take it. So you need to apply right away. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. لو انت ما سألت للمساعدة الإجابة حتكون لا ما حيدوك القروش عشان انت ما سألت أصلا. You have to treat the appeal like the final chapter of your essay. Bold, honest, and entirely yours. That should be, if you're appealing, that should be the best essay you've ever written in your life. You need to convince them and you need to show them, I need this money. This will make a big difference in my educational journey. I had to appeal twice and still got denied. أنا كنت لازم أكتب 2 appeal letters تاني I still got denied. I didn't get more money. لكن it didn't stop there. Use the offers as leverage. مثلا I used my offers as leverage. أنا قلت oh I got a full tuition at this school, or I got a higher scholarship at this school. They see my worth more. Why? Like basically يعني they value me more as a student. مثلا in our case, Ahmed, for example, from Yale, he got $20,000 a year. He got an athletic scholarship and he got into the honors college. But Princeton gave him $32,000 a year and they gave him a mentorship program. So he could argue, hey, Princeton, why don't you give me a bigger scholarship? Because an athletic scholarship, for example, or more money because I could be an asset in your athletic domain, for example, as a soccer coach and I just won the national championship. This is just an example, but use your leverage. Yani, don't just say, oh, it's this or that. Tell Princeton about what Yale gave you and tell Yale about what Princeton gave you. And then they will fight for you amongst themselves and they could give you a better offer, if that makes sense. So yeah, this was me, overwhelmed and lost, trying to pass classes, working on external projects, sleep deprived, consumed by a scarcity mindset, and zero belief or affirmation in myself. And I was there once. I didn't know how to write a proper essay. I didn't know how to navigate scholarships. I didn't know how to do anything. But once I sought the help and I found all these extra resources, alhamdulillah, I was able to gain $1,700 in local scholarships and awards. I got two full tuitions, alhamdulillah. I became more confident in my writing abilities. I had a mentorship program included in my scholarship and I regained my spark and I felt confident again. So you don't always have to go through this alone and you can always ask for help. This is why webinars like this are important because they help you gain experience and you meet new people, and university shouldn't feel like something draining. It should feel like a step into something new and into a promising future. So if you're ever struggling, like this was a mistake I made, but I don't want you to make the same mistake. Ask for help. Parents, like help your kids, like don't do all the work for them. Do not do the work for them because they have to learn to do things themselves, but check in with them, help them out, give them support. Like having a big support system when you're going through this process really makes a difference. Small scholarships do add up as well. So make sure to, I think Azza was touching on, I'm not in Lansing, but Azza was touching on JLL, I think it was called, or some sort of Lansing scholarship. But like small local scholarships, they might be small, but they still do add up. So they still give you money and everything counts. And then you also get local recognition and you have a better chance of winning because it's a smaller pool of applicants. It's people within your hometown or within your community. So you have a bigger chance of applying. Not saying don't apply to bigger scholarships. Do apply to bigger scholarships, but also apply to smaller and local scholarships because they add up. I thought, oh, this scholarship is just 300, and then alhamdulillah, I got 1,700 in local scholarships. So make sure to do that. I also made a little own your story workshop, like worksheet about يعني tips and tricks on how to يعني كل الوركشوب ده بس في worksheet كاملة. So لو عايزينها, I can email it to you. It can help you hopefully. And yeah, just connect with me. I'm always here to help. I'm on LinkedIn, but you can email me. Please do email me. And I can add you to our WhatsApp group. It's a resource and scholarship sharing hub called Pathways to Possibilities. And you can reach out to me for the workshop or the template. And if you ever want me to read your essay, I love reading essays. So I would love to read your essay for you and help you out. But yeah, shukran, salamu alaikum. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you. شكرا جزيلا آية، شكرا مايا، وشكرا عزة. شكرا على المجهود الكبير، وشكرا على النصائح القيمة اللي قدمتوها، وشكرا على إنكم still available to help more. سعيدين بكم اليوم أول ويبينار، وإن شاء الله حتكون في سلسلة من الويبينارات. إذا ده الويلينج بتاعكم إنه to help إن شاء الله أنا متأكدة إنه كتير من الطلاب السودانيين حيستفيدوا، كتير من البيرنتس ممكن يعرفوا كيف يقيفوا ورا أولادهم ويدعموهم ويخلوهم إنه يقدروا يتحصلوا على أقصى قدر من المنح ويكلل مجهودهم بالنجاح إن شاء الله. شكرا جزيلا لكم كلكم، ونفتح الفرصة لباب الأسئلة، ونرجع المنصة كمان لدكتور نادر. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا لكم كثير، وما شاء الله يعني تحدثتوا في موضوع مهم جدا وكلكم أبدعتوا، فجزاكم الله خير. Well done. Very informative and hopefully useful talks. Thank you so much for your great presentations. ممكن للناس اللي في الندوة كتابة الأسئلة، أو الناس المستمعين في يوتيوب ممكن برضو كتابة الأسئلة على اليوتيوب. فممكن نبدأ بالأسئلة ونشوف الإجابات من المتحدثات إن شاء الله.
طيب لحد ما الناس تجهز أسئلتها، أنا كمان عندي حاجة صغيرة عايزة أضيفها.
تفضل.
حاسة أو لعل يكون مصدر إلهام يعني لأي حد ممكن يشاهد الستريمينج ده. فعلا أكتر نقطة توقفتني في كلام آية آخر متحدثة، إنه write about your struggles and mistakes. and دي حاجة powerful شديد بالنسبة خاصة للجامعات. إذا أنت مثلا international student أو immigrant أو son of يعني تعرض مثلا لضغوط أو لظروف في حياته واضطر إنه مثلا يجي يعيش مثلا في دولة تانية في بيئة جديدة. أكيد هم خاصة لو أنت مثلا first generation student مثلا، اللي هم بكون أنت أول جيل من الأسرة بتاعتك تدخل الجامعة. دي عندها معاملة خاصة في الجامعات الأمريكية هنا وحتى في الجامعات الأوروبية، عن طريق التعاطف الكبير اللي ممكن يتعاطفوه معاك ممكن تتحصل على منح كثيرة، أو تفتح الباب لنفسك، أو يعني تفتح الفرص لروحك من خلال التحديات اللي لاقتك والمشاكل اللي واجهتك في حياتك. ده أكبر دافع ممكن الناس تستخدمه. ما نخجل وما يعني نستحي من يعني الظروف اللي مرينا بيها. دي حاجة يعني مصدر قوة وإلهام كمان. أنا واحدة من الناس اللي استخدمت الستراجلز والمستيكس بتاعتي في إني أتحصل على منحة في أوروبا. دي كانت من السودان، فحصلت على المنحة بتاعت وزارة الخارجية الإيطالية. وأنا كنت في اللحظة دي حاسة إني يعني أضعف ما يكون وآخر ذول ممكن ياخد المنحة. فاتفاجأت إنه حتى أنا اللي أخدت المنحة قبل الناس اللي أنا مثلا كنت واثقة إنهم حياخدوا المنحة 100%. والسبب كان يعني the weakest you are ده يعني كل ما تفننت في إنه تبرز نقاط ضعفك وكيف تخطيتها، زي ما قالت أهم حاجة إنك أنت to overcome this. كيف أنت بقيت دول أقوى من التحديات اللي لاقتك عشان تقدر يعني تنتصر عليها وتخلق منها عتبة تطلع عليها. الحمد لله يعني حصلت على منحة كاملة شاملة السكن والدراسة وحتى عليها راتب شهري كمان. ف يا ريت الناس ما تستحي من الستراجلز والتحديات، وخاصة السودان بلد حرب حاليا لمدة طويلة من الزمن. وبالتالي أفضل حاجة إننا نستخدم كل العوامل المحيطة بنا أو الظروف دي حقيقية، يعني ما تأليف ولا ألفناها، دي ظروف حقيقية حاصلة لكل سوداني. أكيد أكيد إن كان خارج السودان أو في دول المهجر في أي مكان في العالم يتأثر بالحرب الدايرة هسي حاليا في السودان. ولازم نستغل الحاجة دي استغلال إيجابي ونتحصل بها على فرص كبيرة للتعليم للأجيال الجاية، لأنه التعليم هو المخرج الوحيد. وشكرا جزيلا، ما أطيل عليكم عشان أدي فرصة للناس اللي جهزت أسئلتها إن شاء الله.
شكرا لك محاسن المشاركة وألف مبروك، ومبروك لكم كلكم المتحدثات. ما شاء الله يعني إنجاز كبير جدا. معانا سؤال هنا لمايا، ممكن تجاوب لنا. Does common app or quest bridge support international master applicant؟ فممكن تعلق لنا وبعدين تجاوبي على السؤال. تفضلي مايا.
معلش الكاميرا حقتي ما شغالة بتقطع
ما في
وتجي،
مشكلة،
ما عارفة.
ما في مشكلة، لا ما في مشكلة.
لكن شكرا فاطمة لحضورك، وهحاول أجاوب سؤالك. الكويست بريدج هو أنا شايفة إنك أنت قلتي إنه you graduated with a bachelor's degree already، ما شاء الله political science. الكويست بريدج هي مفتوحة للناس الخاشين يا دوب من الهاي سكول للuniversity. يعني كويست بريدج هي ذاتها ممكن في منحة للميديكال ستودنتس ومنحة للبزنس ستودنتس يعني to pursue further graduate education بعد ما عمل البكالوريوس. لكن لو انت already عملتيه يعني ما eligible انك تعملي كويست بريدج. لكن in general كويست بريدج supports US citizens, permanent residents or international students attending high school in the US. أنا أمريكية مولودة في أمريكا وأمي مولودة في أمريكا، بس أنا ساكنة في كندا. فيعني I'm not attending high school in the US لكن I'm still an American citizen. That's why أنا قدمتها. With regards to the common app definitely ممكن تقدمي له. طبعا you will probably pay like international fees, for example if you're an international student, but if you're a US citizen or permanent resident الحاجات دي ممكن تختلف، لكن definitely ممكن تقدمي للcommon app. Yeah, برضو I could answer some of the other questions. Oh yeah, بالذات number 3 دي أنا ممكن أجاوبها، لأنه أنا في كندا في المدرسة حقتي ما بنستعمل ال GPA، برضو بنستعمل ال percentages. فيعني for example like this percent is أنا عارفة إنه equivalent to this GPA. أنا مشيت حتى للguidance counselor حقتي وقلت لها أنا ما عارفة ال GPA بتاعي هو يعني حيكون شنو، فأخذت يعني what do I put down، وقالت لي just calculate it. So في calculators online يعني they vary in terms of what constitutes a 4.0 or 3.9. يعني في disputes، لكن as long as I literally just put I have this GPA وقلت my school doesn't give GPAs or it's obvious لما تاخد the transcript وما سألوني. So لو عندك مشكلة معاها يعني ممكن تقولي لهم I don't have a GPA, I have a number grade or a letter grade. لكن or the grading system is different. ولا ممكن تسأل الجامعة ذاتها تكتب لكي specific letter explaining the situation, but I don't think it's necessary. يعني typically schools are pretty lenient with that. They can estimate your GPA pretty good based on your percentages. I can answer the other questions, but I think I might have some answers and maybe Azza, so I'll give them a chance. شكرا. إن شاء الله أكون جاوبت.
شكرا لك. هنبدأ بآية وبعدين عزة. شكرا لك كثير.
أنا برضو community is kind of acting out a little, لكن I will still answer. I can answer number 3 and number 4. So أنا برضو أنا ساكنة في كندا, لكن when I was applying for American schools, a lot of the times أنا كنت I had to get like a like they're like, oh, we need to know your GPA, like we need to know your grades in like, I don't know, American standards, not Canadian standards. So that was really frustrating, Marat, and I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to get it, basically? Lakin, when you, like, I stayed in contact with my financial advisors. I had to do this a lot of times. Lakin, eventually I didn't really need it, so I can't really speak on the next step. But you can get, like, schools themselves sometimes offer, like, a foreign transcript evaluation. And so you pay this external company and they translate it. But the thing is, I think it's different for each and every school. So it would be $80 here, $80 there, $80 there. So it can be really, really expensive. So what you can do is you can work with, like, I don't know if you're still in school, but like, at least, I mean, in high school, but you can work with your guidance counselor. And sometimes the school itself can actually cover that fee for you. So yeah, just like ask about it. As for number 2, local scholarships, I think, sorry, I'm just trying to read the question. Local scholarships are like within your community. Then a local scholarship within East Lansing, or a local scholarship for the Masjid of East Lansing, or like the public library of East Lansing or something. So it all depends on what the scholarship has as eligibility. Yani, before you find a scholarship, like say, do I have to be a U.S. permanent resident, or do I have to be a citizen, or do I have to be like what your status has to be? There isn't, and there can be some for international students, or like if you're a PR, but like it all depends on the specific scholarship itself. And then I'd say the best way to practice with your writing, just read a lot. Just read and just practice writing in general, like write about anything. Yeah, just like pick up a book and read, and that really helps you with writing always. So yeah.
Okay,
شكرا لك كثير. اتفضلي.
Dr. Nader. I think I also have an answer for Fatima, the one she's asking about how she don't like her school doesn't do GBA way. I think I assume you are internationally, you're not in US, so that's considered an international student, and there is a different scholarships for international students at every school you apply to. And also there is a Canadian agency, is called WES. I think it's World Evaluation Services. This is one of the agencies that is accepted by United States, that you can send your transcript to them and they will do the evaluation, and it has to be once, and you pay the tuition once, and you select the way they can keep a copy of your transcript with them. Every time you need it to apply to a school, you will just email them and tell them that you are requesting a copy of your transcript that they have saved there to be sent to the school, and you will specify the name of the school you want them to send, and that will take only 2 to 3 business days to be in the like your transcript will be there in the admission office of the school you selected, and that will make it easier for you and make it a bigger opportunity for you to apply at any university at US. And I think they have a lot of better scholarships even for people coming from abroad. If you need help at that, also you can privately contact me, and I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much غنى محاسن. برضو هنا مشاركين في الويب سايت في عدة يعني calculator GPA calculators ممكن الناس تستخدمها برضو. لكن المهم إنه لو في طريقة إنك تكتب الاستيميشن وتعلق أو تعمل كوميونيكيشن مع الجامعة أو الكلية إنه ده استيميشن، مثلا GPA بتاعي 3.5 لكن استعملت الكالكوليتر، أو في جامعات بيكون عندهم already الكالكوليتر في الويب سايت بتاعهم. شكرا. في اليوتيوب في بعض الأسئلة.
Khalid, do you want to share your screen maybe, or I'll paste them in the chat?
Okay. Okay. في سؤال عن كيفية تطوير الأكتيفيتي والفولنتير لدعم طلبة تكتيب المنح. كيف الزول ممكن تكتب عن الاكتيفيتيز بتاعتك او الفولنتير او يعني الاشياء اللي ممكن الزول يعملها على اساس يكتب عنها بطريقة جذابة. شكرا. اتفضلي مايا وبعدين عزة بعدين آية. اتفضل.
كويس. انا برضو ممكن اشارك السلايدز حقتي. لكن يعني اكتر حاجه ساعدتني انه يعني ممكن تشيل اكتيفيتي عاديه وتخليها تكون يعني زي ما خلونا قال جذابه ولا يعني oh wow like it's different. So يعني definitely انك تكون include يعني to include numbers in your activities. So like انت ساعدت كم نفر في الحاجه دي، ولا يعني انت الحاجه البروجكت حقك يعني كم نفر استفاد من البروجكت حقك. How many people were impacted or influenced by your project or were part of the event that you hosted or are part of the club that you're involved in. يعني the number is important, but it's only as important as the emotion surrounded with it. So like, yes, I hosted an event on the importance of economics and 10 people were there. Okay, 10 people were there. لكن هم استفادوا من الايفنت دي، أنا استفدت من الايفنت دي. How do I prove that? وبعدين remember إنه the space بتاع writing is very, very limited. So how can you show that you benefited and learned and other people learned at the same time? So have the number, it's the first step, and then support the number with the emotion. So instead of saying 10 people were in this economics work, I held an economics workshop with 10 people present. Say I held a workshop on economics and I don't know, financial literacy to support 10 members of our community, for example, in financial literacy or something like that. يعني في كلمات كده بتكون يعني ما عارفة أعبرها كيف، لكن بتكون يعني دقيقة. It's like a trigger word to admissions officers. يعني or أنت حتى if you scan it, then you would be a little bit more like enticed to read it, like inspired, influenced. حاجات تكون يعني very sensory and to build empathy between people. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that. لكن حاجات تكون actionable. يعني بتوري انك انت ما بس satisfied انك تكون في البوزيشن حقك. You're willing to do more and go the extra mile.
شكرا لك مايا. أنا برضو بحاول أوضح إنه من الجامعات أو من الناس المسؤولين اللي بيعانوا للتقديمات بتاعة المنح والفاندنج والحتت التانية كلها عندهم أسلوب معين. واحدة من الأسلوبات أو المختصرات اللي بيستعملوها في حاجة 5 elements of smart goal. يعني لازم الحاجة أنت بتقول عملت شنو ببعض التفاصيل specific، ولو فيها measurement زي ما قالت مايا الأرقام بتكون لها أثر كبير. achieved يعني الحاجة دي اتعملت وبعد كده how relevant بالنسبة لك أو بالنسبة للكوميونيتي أو بالنسبة للآثار اللي تتعرض لها الزول اللي عملت له النشاط مثلا، والزمن اللي أخذته أو التايم بيريود مثلا. دي كحاجة ممكن الناس تفكر فيها بطريقة متسلسلة أو مفهومة بالنسبة للزول اللي بيقرأ الابليكيشن بتاعك. اتفضلي عزة بعدين آية. شكرا.
Yeah, I would just echo everything that Maya said. I agree with everything she said. I would just add like something that I used when I was applying. I made sure to use really strong verbs, like strong action words when I was writing my activities descriptions. And I tried to use words that specifically highlighted the skills that I was trying to portray to the admissions committees. So instead of saying, oh, like I helped or I participated, use stronger action words and be like, I coordinated or I facilitated. And it shows that you're a leader, or it shows that, like as Maya was saying, it shows empathy or shows whatever you're trying to portray. Try to use very specific verbs to convey whatever it is that you're trying to say.
I'd say both Azza and Maya like summed it up and Yohanna, they both all summed it up very well. One thing بس بقولها إنه يعني don't be, I'm not telling you to lie, like don't be afraid to like inflate yourself and like be like, okay, لو أنت you founded, like you started a small business for, I don't know, baking cookies or something, like don't be afraid to say, like don't just say it as it is, like inflate yourself, like say I was this, like I founded this business and I managed marketing for this business and I managed operations for this and I did this and I did that. Don't just say I had a startup. Say I founded this initiative and I was the CEO for, or like just like don't lie, of course, but just like basically kind of like inflate your success, kind of, if that makes sense. Don't lie, but use elaborate words, basically.
شكرا لكم. ما أظن في أسئلة تانية. إذا كان رحاب أو فاطمة موجودين عندكم أي سؤال اتفضلوا. إذا ما في أسئلة جديدة، شكرا لكم كلكم على المتابعة، وشكرا لكم كثير المتحدثات، كتر خيركم، جزاكم الله خير وما قصرتوا، وربنا يوفقكم إن شاء الله ونسمع عنكم كل خير، وإن شاء الله الندوة دي تكون في ميزان حسناتكم، وإن شاء الله الناس يستفيدوا منها. الندوة إن شاء الله حتكون ريكوردد، مسجلة للناس في المستقبل إن شاء الله. In the future, if anyone wants to watch the recording, this will be available inshallah, and hopefully it will help some people down the road. Thank you so much again, and have a wonderful day, or if you are somewhere else, have a good night. السلام عليكم، في أمان الله. محاسن ممكن تفضل. محاسن you are muted.
اوكي. شكرا دكتور نادر. أنا بس حبيت أشكر المتحدثات آية ومايا وكذلك عزة وكل الناس اللي شاركوا في الويبينار، وإن شاء الله يعني دايرة أقول لهم إنه أنتوا بتستحقوا واستحقيتوا الحاجة اللي تحصلتوا عليها، وشكرا على المجهود الكبير اللي بذلتوه عشان توصلوا المعلومة دي للطلاب السودانيين وأسرهم، كل من له الرغبة في إنه يعني يتحصل على منحة أو يدرس مجانا. إن شاء الله يعني نقدر من خلال المنصة دي نقدم يعني أشياء مفيدة أكتر فيما يخص المنح والتقديم للجامعات، ونحث الناس على أهمية التعليم وكده. وشكرا جزيلا مجددا، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة. شكرا عزة، شكرا آية، شكرا مايا. في أمان الله. شكرا للمتابعين كلهم هنا في الويبنار وفي اليوتيوب. السلام عليكم.